Another thing that I've heard very often through my time, like before I was a PT, and even when I was early in my career, when I didn't quite have a grasp on some of these concepts and what I really thought about them and why, a couple things that I heard was often that new runners should get a shoe with stability. And then I also remember just a good friend of mine who we were going to run a marathon together. He's like, yeah, I just picked up a stability shoe because I figured by the time I'm at mile 20, I'm going to be tired, and having that extra support is going to be really helpful. So is there any merit to those things that new runners should use stability shoes and that we should use stability shoes for times we're going to get tired because we need that extra support when we do get tired? Or is that kind of what should we do with those kinds of thoughts? Because logically they can make sense. They had me convinced for a while, and I just want to know what your thoughts are on those kinds of statements.
Yeah, and those are great questions. I can definitely understand where those came from. I think it's really, I'm sorry, I know that our students hate us for this. It's going to depend. I think there isn't merit except for certain populations of people that maybe might need it. And it goes into who actually needs a stability shoe. So a newer runner, right? So if you are just getting into running, you really, if possible, need to go find a running store where you can try some stuff on and figure out if it's comfortable. And then you need to go run in it. Per my conversation with Simon Bartold, our thought is one of the biggest things you're getting used to as a new runner is the impact of running, dealing with the forces and all that stuff. So, some people might need it if they have a little harder time controlling that motion. They need a little bit more guidance, but I would definitely not say it's a blanket statement. And we talked about how maybe newer runners might benefit from a shoe with more cushioning and maybe a stable neutral shoe potentially. But immediately assuming they're going to benefit from a stability shoe is probably not the best, because there are many people that do not work well with them, and that actually might cause more issues. So I don't think there's merit to that thought. I understand where it comes from, because that's one of the things I was told back in the day. But I think it will depend on, you need to figure out, is that comfortable, and look at their history. Have they had any issues related to pronation or what have you? Because that's really what the evidence says. If you have a history of these issues, then maybe you should consider that. But if you don't, I would stick with what we call a stable neutral, a more cushioned stable neutral shoe.
Right. And I think one of the big things that we have in our back pocket is there's a good amount of huge studies and systematic reviews looking at risks for injury, and they have footwear as a category. And right. the things that have been found in the biggest systematic review we have I think it's from 2014. So it's been a while. Yeah. It would be interesting maybe if there's anything changes with some of the new footwear technology. But what the things that they found that increase risk for injury is being a new runner within your first 2 years of running, having an injury in the last 12 months, and running more than 40 miles per week. Those are the only three things that really stick out as being high evidence for risk of injury. Shoes just are so hard to nail down. And so should my opinion on this, that question, my own question, is that lame to answer my own question? Maybe a little bit.
No, not at all.
But I think that's
take. What research is, by the way.
Sure, that's a good point.
What the heck is this? Oh, let me go figure that out.
Except you're getting your answer from other data points, but I agree. I understand.
All right.
But
yeah.
My take on that question about should new runners have stability shoes, I'm like, probably not, or I wouldn't bank on that, but go try on shoes. The best we have right now is find the thing that's most comfortable. That could change in 2 years from now.
It probably will.
Yeah, but for right now, go ahead and try out what's most comfortable for you. I had a young high school freshman runner, and their parents were asking me some questions, and that was my recommendations for them. It wasn't go get a stability shoe. They said, we were told we should get a shoe has some stability, some arch support built in. What do you think on that? And my recommendation was that maybe, but I would say probably not needed. I would go find something that actually feels good under your foot, and gave them some recommendations for cheap shoes, because high schoolers grow. So that was my recommendation.
That's also challenging, is the term arch support is definitely a hot topic. Or
yes.
It's not a hot topic. What's
buzzword.
The term looking? It's a buzzword.
Yes.
And I don't mean, hopefully this doesn't come off rude. You have to realize the majority of healthcare professionals have zero training on footwear. And have little knowledge. So they'll go, oh, more arch support is better, all this stuff, when really for some people that can actually be detrimental. So be very careful with that, unless you really know, hey, I would really benefit because I have this pathology, and the evidence suggested that might be beneficial. If they can't give you that, just say get issue with arch support. I would ask some more questions about that, just because it is a buzzword and people often will say that when they might mean something else, which is something I've run into where people might mean, they'll say, I want more support. And what they don't realize is the support usually means arch support, and they are meaning I want more cushioning. So make sure you clarify, like, what exactly are you talking about? Why should I have this? But